Hey guys, it's Sonia again. Welcome back to my channel. For those of you that are new to my channel, welcome, and for those of you coming back, thank you so much for coming back to my channel. So I have been super busy lately. I had never even anticipated all that goes into building a custom house and all the decisions that you have to make and everything like that. So needless to say, I have been plenty busy between working a full-time job, being mom, and trying to pull together some ideas for this house. We are just going crazy. So anyways, I'm so happy to be sitting in front of the camera today and filming this video for you. So as you guys already probably saw, the title of this video is How to Authenticate and Where to Buy Pre-Loved Items. So I know that this can be a little controversial, excuse me, for some people, especially when you're talking about pre-loved items. But I think that this is a great route for anyone that is looking to kind of get into the brand, or especially if you are having a hard time finding a piece. This is a great option for vintage bags. There is just a lot of different reasons why people choose to go pre-loved, and there's nothing wrong with it. I think that it's a great option. You can find certain things, at consignment stores. Locally, I can find them on a Facebook group that you guys have heard me talk about before. I think it's called Louis Vuitton Addicted. And so that is just a phenomenal site to go on and purchase some of these pre-loved items. And the great thing about pre-loved, and especially when you're talking about luxury items, high-end brands such as Louis Vuitton, the great thing about that is, one, why I particularly tend to stick to Louis Vuitton brand, because that's the one that I show you guys the most, that's the one I love the best, is because of its ability to retain its value. So, if you purchased it at a certain price, you know that if you had to turn around and sell that item again, you would probably get close to what you paid, if not sometimes more, because the other thing with these fashion houses is that they tend to increase their prices, from time to time, and so it just depends, if the item is in high demand, then you can definitely get what you paid for it, if not more. And this is especially true with Chanel bags. I know Chanel, especially like their more classic line, what you pay for those bags, I know for sure you can definitely get close to what you purchased for, and if not more for those bags. So definitely, I don't say that they're an investment, but I mean, in many ways they are. These bags can be an investment to where that you purchase them, you have them in your collection, and if one day, let's say you want to fund another bag, you can turn around and sell one of your existing handbags and get good money for it. So anyways, so let's talk about how to authenticate some of these bags. So I have been purchasing Louis Vuitton bags now for a few years, and I think you kind of have to educate yourself on how to authenticate a handbag. There are also authentication places that will do that for you. So two right off the top of my head is Memes Treasures. So the Memes Treasures is like an online service. You can submit some photos to them, and they will authenticate the item for you, and they'll send you back an authentication letter if you request that. They're relatively inexpensive services, maybe $10, $15 to do that, but I mean, I think for peace of mind alone, it's a great thing to start doing. So very early on, I had started using these services to authenticate my handbags that I was purchasing pre-loved. So the other great authentication service is was actually founded from the Facebook group that I talk about, that Louis Vuitton Addicted, and I think that one is called Pro Authenticators. So I haven't actually had a chance to use Pro Authenticators, but again, another really great service that you can look into for authenticating these handbags, and I believe their service pretty much runs the same way as Memes Treasures. You send them some photos and they will be able to authenticate a handbag for you. So that's one way to authenticate. The other thing is just getting educated, like I said, so understanding what to look for in these handbags. And I by no means am a professional at this. You know, I don't, you know, don't take everything I say as truth. I would definitely do my my homework before you guys decide to buy Preloved. And really, the other thing that I have done is watch a lot of YouTube videos on a particular item that I'm interested in purchasing. Just because you can gain so much knowledge from those videos, especially if they are like review videos of a particular handbag. You can learn a lot about, you know, where you might find date codes, what the heat stamp should look like, and just a bunch of other things. So I have some eye candy for you guys that I wanted to kind of go over some of these items that I have and where, you know, things to look for when you're interested in purchasing that kind of handbag. So the first one I'm going to show you is actually my Eva Clutch. So this is the beautiful Eva Clutch. So I picked this one up. So for most of you that are familiar with Louis Vuitton brand, and that, again, all of these handbags that I'm going to show you are Louis Vuitton. If you guys aren't familiar with the Eva Clutch, this bag has actually been discontinued by Louis Vuitton. However, it was one of their most praised kind of clutches in its heyday. And so anyways, it was definitely one of the handbags that I wanted to add to my collection. However, by the time I decided to add this to my collection, it was already discontinued. So my only option at that point was to purchase Preloved. And I purchased this one off of, I think I purchased this one off of eBay. And it actually came through the eBay, I forgot what they're calling it now, but where eBay actually authenticates an item. So it came through that service. And if I remember the name of that service, I will link it down below. I think a couple of other YouTubers have mentioned that service before. So I will definitely link that in the comment section, or in the more info section down below. But anyways, so one of the first things that you can want to look for, I mean, it is so easy for people to replicate this canvas, or at least make it seem like it's a very good replica of the canvas itself. But one of the first things I look at is going to be the tab. So right here, one of the most obvious things right here is going to be the Louis Vuitton Paris, made in France. But from here, if you want to take a close look at the Paris, so notice how the R on this actually comes straight. It has a very angled line that comes from the bottom. So the Paris, the R in that. So that R is actually going to be more of an angle, whereas most of the replicas that I've seen, that R, it's kind of a curved line that kind of comes down, you know, to make the bottom half of the R. So that for sure is one of the first things to look at. The other thing is taking a look at the hardware. So a lot of all of the Louis Vuitton hardware pieces, they're all going to be made out of brass, and so they are going to have a little bit of weight to them. So a lot of replicas that I've seen, the brass, you know, it'll be just shiny gold like this. However, the material, the metal that they use is not actually even metal, it's plastic, coated plastic. So it's going to be very, very lightweight. The other thing that you're going to want to look for is going to be the inside of the bag. You're going to want to try to find a date code for this. So inside here in the Eva Clutch, and you're not going to be able to see it in the camera, but I will do my best to show you where it's at. So I don't know if you guys can see this tag right in here. So the tag right in here is actually going to have a sequence of letters and numbers. And so you'll always see the letters first. It should be a two letters, and those indicate the country code of where this item was made, and then it's going to have a series of numbers. So the series of numbers is where it gets a little tricky as far as interpreting what the date code means. So for instance, this one is DU4120. And so this one indicates to me that this item, so the DU is the country code for France, and that is not the only country code. So I have to tell you that there are going to be several two letters for different countries. So France, for instance, has probably, off the top of my head, like 20 different letters that indicate that an item was made in France. So I will also link to you guys, Yogi's Closet actually has a really good little time matrix of all of the date codes and kind of what the country codes are and kind of how you interpret these numbers as well. But anyways, the series of numbers, like I mentioned, it's DU, which stands for Made in France, 4120. So the 4120, let's go ahead and break this down. So the second number, which is 1, and the last number, which is 0, is going to indicate the year that this handbag was made. So this was actually made in 2010. And then the first number and the third number are going to indicate the week of the year in which this handbag was made. So if I put it all together with the information that I see, so you guys can see it here. So if we break it down, so this is DU, so made in France, 4120. This is going to tell me that this handbag was made in France in 2010 of the 42nd week of the year. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. So that is the Eva Clutch. Now let's go ahead and pick up something else. So this is my beautiful little Mini Pochette. And so this one is a little different because it has the treated vachetta leather here. And so again, this one, let's see if I can pick it up in the camera. This one is Louis Vuitton Paris, made in France. And again, you can see, let's see if I can pick it up. Can you see the R in Paris? How it has that angled line coming down, so it's very straight. So that's one of the biggest indicators there, because I'm not sure why, but that R is really, really hard for people to replicate as far as when they are doing the stamping and stuff of these bags. So in here, here's the Mini Pochette on the inside. Again, on one of the sides is this little brown tab here. This is SF3156. So this is SF3156. So this one is telling me that this was, not only that, I can see here that it was made in France. So made in France on the, in 2016 of the 35th week. So that's the Mini Pochette. The next one I have is going to be my Clemence Wallet. So the wallets are interesting. Many of them don't actually have a hot stamp of saying Louis Vuitton made in France or anything like that. Some of them do, so don't get me wrong, there are some, but especially the ones that are made in the US. So you can see here, mine says Louis Vuitton Paris. So gotta admit, when I purchased this one, and this one actually came from the boutique, I was thrown off a bit because I was like, oh my god, this, you know, there's a flaw to my Clemence wallet, like it's not stamped made in wherever, right? But after doing some more research, I realized that the made in the USA items have no longer been printed as far as where they're made. So the only way that you're going to be able to tell is one, either you just know that being a Louis Vuitton collector, or you can tell that from the date code. So this date code in here, let me see, so these ones are harder to read because they're tucked up under the under one of the flat pockets. So this one, SD1186. So there it is right there, SD11086. And so SD is one of the country codes for US, and the 1186 tells me this was made in 2016 in the 18th week of 2016. So that is the wallet. The next one I have is going to be my Speedy 30 bandolier. So this is it here. Again, these ones, so the Speedies are interesting. A little bit more information for you guys so that you can authenticate this bag. So one, let's go ahead and look for the date stamp on this. So again, this one does not indicate whether it was made in France because this one is a US piece. But anyway, so the way you can tell on the Louis Vuitton Speedy bags is on one of the sides here, and actually if you have the original Speedy, I believe it will have it on the tab. It'll have the made, Louis Vuitton Paris made in. And so this one actually has it, since this is the bandolier version, it actually has it along one of these strips of treated leather. And I'll try to zoom in for you guys. So here you can see it says Louis Vuitton Paris. Again, notice the R, the angle of the bottom half of that R. And then on the inside, these bags actually have the date stamp underneath the little interior pocket. And it is going to be right here. So there you go. So this one actually says SD2176. So the SD again stands for made in the US, and this one is the made in the 2016 in the 27th week of 2016. The other interesting thing about these Speedy bags is, let's see if I can find it, but these ones actually, since it is made in the US, will actually have a tag on them that says made in the USA of imported materials. So that is something else that the Speedy bags will have on the inside of them, along with some other bigger bags. I think you'll see that as well. The other cool thing about the Speedy on how you can tell whether it's authentic or not, aside from, you know, the hardware that has all of the Louis Vuitton what do you call, logos kind of printed on the buttons and the you know, the zippers, etc., is going to be along one of these tabs here. And so again, you can also see this on the regular Speedy, the classic Speedy. You'll see it as well. They'll have it as well. But I'm going to see if I can zoom in on this for you guys. If you're going to be able to see that in the camera. There it is. So pulling it down a little bit, you can see that it actually has the size of the Speedy bag imprinted on the leather there. So you can see mine is the size 30, so it has a 30 on the leather tab as well. Alright, I have a few more things to show you. So let's see, I have my 6 key ring holder here. And so even on this one, when you open it up, this is in the damier bean print. See, this one actually has the Louis Vuitton Paris, made in France, printed on the leather in here. And the date code on this one is actually going to be behind this little pocket here. And this you're probably definitely not going to see in the camera because it's all the way at the bottom down here. But this one is, holy smokes, I don't know if I can get in there, CT2102. So this was made in 2012 on the 20th week. So, and CT again is another country code for France. Alright, and the last bag I have to show you are going to be the toiletry bags, only because the inside of these cosmetic bags or toiletry bags, they're wipeable interiors, so they're a little different than the textile lining. So where they put the date code is a little different. But first of all, this is the raw vachetta leather. So the other way to kind of see, so here again, looking at the tab, you can see the R has a very sharp line to it. So this is Louis Vuitton Paris, made in France. The other thing I have, so I don't know if you know this, but if you guys happen to own the toiletry bags, I own all 3 of them. They actually stack inside of each other. So when I was storing these, I thought that was so cool. So inside of my Toiletry 26, I actually have my Toiletry 19, and inside of my Toiletry 19, I actually have the Toiletry 15. So it is so cute. They actually fit together, they nest together really cute. So you can keep them like that for storage purposes. But I'll go ahead and show you all of the vachetta leather tabs on this one. So this one, you'll notice this one is Louis Vuitton Paris, and this one is made in Spain. But again, notice the R in Paris. And then the Toiletry 15, again, this one is made in France, So you guys can see that. The last thing on the toiletry bags that I wanted to show you was going to be actually where to find the date codes on these handbags, or on these toiletry bags. But up on one of the corners, you're going to see here the date code for this. So it's really hard to see because what they do is they actually just print this wipeable lining. So they just kind of stamp it on the inside here. And so this one, for instance, is SL1013. So the SL is made in France, and the 03 means this was a 2003. This was made in 2003 on the 11th week. So the 11 is the 11th week of 2003. And for being made, that this was made in 2003, it is in gorgeous condition. The interior is flawless. There's nothing wrong with it. It is a little smushier, but I mean, after, you know, all those years, 14 years, come on, it has to have some love to it. But yeah, again, you can see this gorgeous patina on the Vachetta tab. So yeah, so that's the toiletry bags. They do a little differently when they're stamping the wipeable interior. Here's something interesting. So I purchased the Toiletry 26 and the Toiletry 15 pre-loved, and I purchased the Toiletry 19 brand new. But check out the patina on the 15, the 26, and then compared to the 19. So this is another dead giveaway as far as authenticating a handbag, especially when it is the monogram print with the Vachetta leather, the raw Vachetta leather. Something that you're going to be able to see is if you're looking at the date code or you're looking at the bag in general and somebody is selling it and it looks brand new, there's no patina to the leather, it's pretty much like almost a white color to it. 9 times out of 10 it's probably a replica, especially if they're selling it for super cheap. I mean, I've heard stories of people that said, oh, my ex-husband purchased this handbag for me and I just don't want it anymore, and I barely used it, so I just want it out of my, out of my house or whatever. And they fall for that, right? Because they think, oh wow, yeah, I could totally relate to that story. I wouldn't want to keep something that my ex-husband gave me. I mean, things like that, right? So you have to be smart when you're purchasing pre-loved items, especially if you're purchasing them from other people that, maybe they're not coming from a store, or they're not coming, or if they're on consignment. I mean, even consignment stores, they're not professional authenticators either, so they're bound to make a mistake, and sell something, assuming that the owner told them it was real, or etc. But so those are things to be careful for. The other thing is, you can notice the glazing here. It's not exactly, it's red. It's more of like a maroony kind of red color, like a stain more on the leather. And things like that, if you're purchasing a replica, a lot of times they're going to be like a bright red color, or like a bright red orange color, really glossy. Those are probably, dead giveaways as well, that item is potentially a replica and a fake bag. So I hope all of these tips were helpful to you guys. As far as where I like to purchase, like again, I mentioned the Facebook group, I mentioned consignment stores. There's also other online stores that you can purchase from that more than likely have already authenticated all of their items, and not only that, but they will come with a return guarantee as well. And so some of those include Fashion File, Yogi's Closet, let's see, local consignment stores I already mentioned, let's see, Poshmark and Tradesy. Those ones you definitely have to be careful with as well, because I've heard a lot of horror stories about people purchasing really expensive items on there, and then only later to find out that they were they're replica bags or they were fake. And just be careful when you're purchasing used or pre-loved handbags. However, if you can get them, they can be absolutely wonderful bags. All of the pieces that I have picked up, that have been pre-loved, they have lots and lots of life left to them. So those are all of my tips and tricks kind of on how to go about authenticating a handbag. Again, these handbags are by no means a small investment. So when you're looking to buy Preloved, it's always a smart idea to do your homework and to kind of look for some of these things that can kind of tip you off as to whether or not you are going to purchase a replica bag or if you're purchasing the real deal. Again, highly recommend for you guys to look into authentication services. Again, I'm not an expert at all. It's just I've been purchasing them for a while now, and I kind of have a general idea of what to look for, or at least, you know, things that right away would just tip me off. And obviously if I was about to spend a lot of money on one of these handbags, you know, then I would for sure have them authenticated just for my own peace of mind. But anyways, I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did, please make sure to give me a thumbs up. And if you are not yet subscribed to my channel, please click that red button down below. And if you guys have any questions or comments, leave them down below as well, and I will be sure to get back to you as soon as I can. Thanks so much, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!